Everyone, and welcome to another edition of Words from Behind the Desk, presented by Arwani Law Firm. Hello, guys. My name is Vakaira Fai. If you are a regular viewer, we appreciate so much your love and continued support. Please remember this is live. Comment with us, join in on the conversation. Today is going to be a very for me, exciting conversation. I know it's going to be a little bit heavy for our guests, but this has been a process that I know has been a process for our guest, which is Rania Arwani, who has published her first book. And if any of you guys know Rania Arwani, and if you have had, of course you guys know Rania Arwani because this is her show. But if you have had the pleasure to hear her speak, to hear her talk about Unintentional Hero, which is the name and title of her new book, then you have had the chance to hear a little bit about her life. And the book that she wrote, we're going to dive in, ask her some questions, ask her about the process. But it was a very difficult read. It was real, it was raw. And there were two paragraphs in the beginning of the book that really stood out to me. And so I just want to go ahead, and before we bring Rania in to talk about the publication of her new book, I wanted to have a lead into it. So one of the paragraphs says, "You're about to read about a time in my life, the circumstances of which are exceedingly difficult for most people to comprehend. At times, they're difficult for me to understand, and I lived through them. If you are or ever have been a victim of domestic violence, you already understand all too well. I offer my unending support and hope for the life you deserve. The term walking in someone else's shoes is a fallacy. It's a myth. No one can walk in my shoes. No one can see what I saw. No one can feel what I felt. I am the only one that walked in my shoes. I am the only one that saw what I saw and felt what I felt. I am the only one to know why I stayed. And I am the only one who has to live with the ramifications." Me knowing Rania, her being a dear friend of mine, I'm extremely excited about her process in publishing this, her new book. And so I'm excited to welcome our guest for today, which is Miss Rania Arwani. Hello, Rania.
Hi.
How are you doing
I
today?
am good. Today I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you doing, Bakai?
It's a good day to have a good day. I'm doing great today. We're talking about the publishing of your first book. First off, how does that feel?
Well, it feels like a goal accomplished. It was a goal that I had for a long time. And accomplishing one of your major goals is amazing. It's just an amazing feeling. You have a check mark, goal accomplished.
And so the process of writing a book, how did you end up at the conclusion that you wanted to write a book?
So a long time ago, and I would say more than 10 years ago, I was, one of my very good friends, we were, sitting at her kitchen table, and it did not just happen once. It happened, I would say, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 times during that period. And she said, "You need to write a book." And to me, at that point, was like, okay, like it was something that, no, not gonna happen. It wasn't something that I even comprehended or even considered at that point in my life at all. But she kept like mentioning, "You need to write a book. You need to write a book. You need to write a book." So it stayed at the back of my mind to kind of write a book, and I just pushed it to the back of my mind. Like I did not really give it a lot of thought. I did not put anything into action whatsoever during that period of my life. And when the pandemic hit, in March, April, May, I was not busy. You were not busy. We were maybe texting each other more than usual.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and it was at that point that I decided, you know what, since not much is going on in my life right now. Back then, I had
Mhm.
so much going on: school, law school. The kids were much younger. Um, I've always had a really good excuse not to write.
Mhm. Mhm.
So during at the time when the pandemic hit, I did not
Mhm.
have a really good reason to not start writing the book, or not, start going through the process. And I decided, and I started, the process. My plan was to actually publish prior to Christmas, like early December,
Mhm.
and that did not happen.
Our
It did not.
timelines never add up. I mean, 10 years. 10 years. You so it's safe to say that it has been 10 years in the making, your process of publishing your first book. It's 10 years is
10 years in my head.
10 years in your head, but that's
Over
where it
10 years,
always kind of
actually.
starts, right? It's a little
Sorry.
seed, it's a little something on your heart, something on your mind, and I feel like, it's real. It's real that it would take 10 years to think about before the actual act of, which I think is super brave of you. I think that so many people can relate, having something on their heart, but then you're right. There are a lot of excuses that we are able to make. And I mean, sometimes they're not excuses. It's our reality, it's our truth. But I guess it's pandemic wise horrible, but you were allotted the time and the space to be able to create. So for me, I like saying that it's been for you 10 years in the process, but it took a year, I guess, for you to really sit down and decide that you wanted to do it. And I mean, not thank goodness, but thank goodness you created the time and the space to be able to produce, or publish your
So,
first book.
yeah. So, Bukai, I'm going to be very honest, and I want to thank you, because
Mm,
when we met in 2017, late 2017, and I shared with you my story. Yeah, the next, early 2018, you came to me and you said, "That's it. You're going to be my next keynote at the I Am Brave." And that was like horrifying to kind of share that story, because I've never I was like, I would only share my story with my close friends.
mhm,
People did not know what I went through, and why I became an attorney and how that came about. So the me writing the book was also thanks to you. Had I
mm,
been comfortable speaking about it and going out, I would not have been able to put it down in writing and publish it ever, because I would
mhm.
not have been. So being the keynote at I Am Brave in 2018 kind of opened the door to make it easier for me to put it in writing and share it with a lot more, way more people than people that attended the I Am Brave in 2018. So thank you, Bukai.
You I don't know what to say. I didn't expect that. I think that it's really, really special that you're able to get in front of a group of sisters, a group of women, and be able to, say your truth and see that people aren't going to look at you the way that you think in your head that they're going to look at you, but them run to you with open arms, with support, with saying how much you help them. I think that the process of I Am Brave and seeing the attendees with the speakers has been really amazing for me to be the producer of it. It's phenomenal for me. So to hear that, I appreciate that. I hear you. I know that I was one of the ones who was nudging you, like, when are you going to write your book? When are you going to write your book? Because it's a part of your legacy. And I know that you writing and taking the time to allocate to write had to have been difficult. What was the hardest part for you to sit down and confront and start writing your book, start writing your life?
So the hardest part is going through the process of going through the whole thing again, because
Mhm.
well, the past is the past. You don't think about the
Mhm.
past. Um, going through it was difficult. Some chapters were extremely difficult for me to go through. They took longer than I thought they would, and I could not do it, and I could not just sit down and do it. It was just way too difficult. But so the chapters I'm talking about are chapters 5 and 6. They
Mhm.
are the most difficult chapters of the book. Um, so those were the most difficult chapters. But the whole process was not as easy as I thought it would be, I guess, because I had,
Reliving. Mhm.
living through it and trying to remember things that I have already not forgotten, but little details, because there's a lot of details in the book
Mhm.
that I had to kind of search and sit and meditate and figure out what happened back then. Oh, this happened.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that was the difficulty of going through the process.
I for me knowing, having heard your TED Talk, having heard your keynote, we got a glimpse, we got a glimpse of it. And you wrote a 16 chapter book. And so there is a lot of details in there. And when reading the chapter titles, you kind of go progressively in the progression of life, it feels like. I feel like everybody can relate to the titles of the book because sometimes in ourselves we can get trapped in our minds. So I love how the book is very sequential into where it is that you are right now and how you rediscovered who Rania Arwani is and how you made that your number one. And I know that there's some people who don't know. You named the title of your book Unintentional Hero. What is Unintentional Hero?
So unintentional hero is a person who is very passionate about what they do, no matter
Mhm.
what. It doesn't matter. So someone could be passionate about fighting domestic violence, passionate about being an accountant, passionate about being a teacher,
Mhm.
passionate about having the best, being the best PR person, having the best conference, um, just
Mhm.
passionate about what they do. And I came about, I came up with the unintentional hero, the term, um, because the way I thought about it is there were people in my life that changed the course of my life, and
Mhm.
there are there is a person in my life that actually saved my life, and I go through that. I explain it in the book, but so an unintentional hero is is a person that is so passionate, and during the time that they are, doing what they do, they save someone's life, they change someone's life unintentionally, not because they
Mhm.
want to be a hero, not because they sought out to change someone's life or save some. That's not like they are just passionate about what they're doing,
Mhm.
and in doing it unintentionally, they become someone's hero. So they become an unintentional hero, and they won't even know. They don't even know. Like that,
Mhm.
like the person that really, I would say saved my life is a nurse that
Mhm.
I saw at that took at the hospital, talked to me and asked me to talk to her and tell her what happened, and I would not. And she would
Mhm.
tell me, "No, you need to tell me," and I would not. And she kept trying, and I would not say a word. And then she finally said, um, "Next time this happens, you're not going to be brought in on a stretcher. Next time this happens, you're going to be brought in a body bag." And that's it.
Mhm.
And it hit me like a pile of bricks because at that
Mhm.
point, I was thinking, wait a second. Oh my God, yes, this could happen.
Mhm.
What's going to happen to my parents? What's going to happen to my brothers, my sister, my children? Like, what's going to happen to my family because I did not speak up, I'm gone. And
Mhm.
what's going to happen to the babies when I'm gone?
Right.
Um, so I don't know. I cannot find the nurse. I don't even know her name. And
Really? Have you searched for her?
I could not get the documents to get her name, but
Mm.
she does not know that she saved my life, but she did back in 2004, five is when she changed my life. And
Mm.
July of 2005 is when she changed my life and saved my life. And because of her, the children they have their mother. My parents have their daughter. My brothers
Mhm.
and my sister, they have their sister. Um, and that is why she's an unintentional hero, because she has no idea what she did.
Mhm. But because she went about her day passionately and present, she wasn't distracted. She wasn't too busy doing something else at the time. She was present in her duty for that day, and that day was to be a nurse and to care and look after and help and serve, and she did that.
Yes, exactly.
So cool. Just for anybody who doesn't know, you know, underneath it, the title is Unintentional Hero, but it says from domestic violence victim to survivor to advocate. And it's your memoir.
It is. It is. And I just saw my brother's comment. He says, "So proud of you, sis." Well, I love you, bro.
Um,
My brother helped me. I mean, he read the book. He, gave me ideas, comments, and he's been amazing, very supportive. Um,
mhm,
so yes, it's a memoir. The message behind the book is to the victims or the survivors or people who are going through it. You can leave. There are ways for you to leave safely.
mhm,
There are resources. There are things you can do to get the help that you need. There is no
mhm,
reason for someone to stay in a domestic violence relationship. And domestic violence is not only physical violence. It's emotional violence. It could be financial violence. It could be, psychological violence. It's not just the physical violence. The physical violence, in my opinion, is a pain that comes and goes, way
mhm,
sooner than any other form. The emotional stays years and years and years. So the physical violence causes emotional violence.
mhm,
Psychological violence is when someone just, harasses and, keeps manipulating,
mhm.
the victim who I hate to use the term victim, they're survivors.
They're
Um,
survivors, right? Yeah.
mhm. So that's the message. The message is no one needs to live through that, and I don't want to say like it's cliche. If I can leave, you can leave. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I was very young. I had two very young kids. I
Mhm,
did not even have a degree. I didn't even have my bachelor's degree.
mhm,
Um, I was all alone. My family were not here. I had no friends because I was isolated. When I say I was alone, I was 100% completely alone. And without my sister, who just flew in the day I decided to leave, I would have not been able to do it. So, of
mhm.
course, I owe my family.
Right. Wow. Why did I mean, I know why, but why did you want to make this book available for the community?
Um, I wanna, I if I can if I can change one life, if I can save
Mhm,
one victim who's a survivor, just one, then my whole goal is accomplished. Everything I went
mhm,
through is
mhm,
100% accomplished. Just one person.
mhm.
And me going out and speaking and publishing my book and talking about what happened to me, my hope is, of course, a lot of people. But if it's one person that I can help, that's all I'm looking for. I just want to
Just
be able
one.
to help other people.
Mhm. That's incredible. I appreciate you taking the time to go through all that you went through to write this book. I know it brought up a lot of it stirred up a lot, going back with details that you really wanted to forget, that you didn't want to relive, but you reliving them really could save a life, because it creates a connection. Somebody could be going through what you went through, and to know that somebody else went through what I could have potentially went through is just, it's not the light at the end of the tunnel, but at least it lets me know that it's possible. And so I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and write the book. And I do want to ask you, and I know that there really isn't a favorite because there's a lot that you put into this book, but which chapter is your favorite?
So all of the chapters are my babies, and I know you said
Mhm.
there's 16 chapters. They're not. There's 17 chapters.
Oh, I apologize, Rania.
Um, um, all of them are my babies, and like I said,
Mhm.
but I would say the chapter that is hopeful, closest to my heart, the one that I love them all, but the one that's really resonates with me and kind of is what I am right now is chapter 16.
Mhm.
Um, which that's kind of not my favorite, but a chapter that I like a lot.
I love it. And then for you, what do you feel like your biggest hurdle has been in publishing your book?
It's just the process, I guess. Just going through the
Mhm.
process, just reliving the moments that um, were gone, like we're never. What I stopped going through them altogether.
Mhm.
Um, during that period of my life, I mean, just to give you a glimpse, I would never go to bed without the lights turned. Like I can't go to sleep if the lights
Mhm.
were off. Every single light in my house had to be on. So
Wow.
just going back to that
Mhm.
period of my life was not easy.
I from just you speaking at I Am Brave, having heard your TED Talk and seeing the women swarm around you after those two talks, I have already seen the power of a 18-minute conversation. And so you now have a 17 chapter book. Um, I know for certain that you will impact one person. You will save one person. You have kind of now turned into the unintentional hero.
I hope so.
Rania, I am super excited. Please, friends, if you haven't already, go to arwanilawfirm.com, sign up for Rania's weekly newsletter. The information about the publishing time, the link to go ahead and purchase the book pre-sale, we'll have all of that in the description of this conversation right here. Rania, I appreciate you. If anybody is looking for more information, if you're looking for help, please contact the domestic violence hotline. If you have any questions, or want to know more, you guys can always email manager@arwanilawfirm.com. Rania, I appreciate you taking the time and space to create, because what it is that you have created is for the world, and it is to serve, and it is to help, and it's so selfless. It's so selfless. So I just want to say thank you. Um, it's Read it, guys. Just pick it up, read it. Understand what it is that you can be in somebody's life without even knowing it. Understand that every single person has their own history and legacy that you may have no idea about in a meeting, in a passing, in whatever. And if you can practice being more present, practice being more aware, practice your passion daily in whatever it is that you do, because you never know. You could save a life, you could help someone, you could save a life. And I think that that is the hugest takeaway, Rania, for the publication of your book, Unintentional Hero.
Thank you, Vakai. And Cassie commented, my dear friend Cassie. Thank you, Cassie. Cassie, actually, you and Cassie read the book. It's actually going to be published, hopefully end of March, but definitely by the first week of April, but hopefully end of March. But Cassie, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. And Carmen, thank you so much. And can't wait to hear your ideas about the book and your thoughts.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Words from Behind the Desk, presented by Arwani Law Firm. Remember, again, if share this, comment in this. Rania will be reading all of the threads. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, go ahead and email us at manager@arwanilawfirm.com. And we will see you guys next week, same time, same place, here on Arwani Law Firm Facebook page. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.